Today on The Dead Life, I have one of my favorite guests in studio, Tom McMullan. For those of you who are new to the show, he is a karmic astrologer with over 30 years experience and my professor of astrology at Dead University. For those of you wanting to learn how to interpret astrology and read birth charts, you can find Tom's class at deaduniversity.com. Along with Margaret Jamison, our Professor of Earth Magick, Diane Goldner, Professor of Healing, and yours truly, the Professor of Mediumship. Tom's here to tell us what 2024 is going to look like. 2023 has been a real doozy, so today we'll take a peek into what the next year will look like. You can follow me on my only Instagram page, at Medium Allison, on my Facebook fan page, and you can binge on my YouTube videos to watch readings, including episodes of The Dead Life. If you have abilities of your own and are looking to expand them and connect with other gifted people, go to deaduniversity.com. If you have a question for me about the afterlife or your own abilities, or you want to share your own spiritual experience with us to be shared on a future episode of The Dead Life, call me and leave me a message at 802-332-3811. Well, Tom, welcome back.
Thank you, Allison. At the end of the year.
And I don't always dress like this, but since it's our Christmas New Year's edition, I added a little sparkle to the show.
Well, you wore green sparkly and I wore muted green. Should have worn red, I guess.
Nah, you look great. You look great. So what does the energy of 2024 look like? Like I even need to ask in an election year, but should we brace ourselves?
Yes, we should brace ourselves. It's not going to be a mild year. I'll say that. It was funny because Joe asked me, is the news good or bad? And I said, judgment is a perception to each individual. So
right.
I don't like doing good or bad in these things.
Yeah.
But I can give you the symbols and energies of what it represents, and then you guys can all decide.
I'm so excited. This is my favorite episode every year, is what is the new year going to bring?
Okay. Well, I'm going to do some history with you guys. So there'll be some lessons, but you don't need to take notes. There won't be a test. So
okay.
we're going to begin with Pluto, the planet Pluto, because Pluto is the significator of everything as it's moving from one sign to another. Mm-hmm. And Pluto moves from one sign to another in its elliptic. It can be anywhere from like 15 years to 20 some years because it's a long elliptic. It's not perfectly
a slow moving planet. Yeah. Sure.
And I want to tell you what Pluto represents. It rules Scorpio. So when we talk about Scorpio energy, we're talking about Pluto, mm-hmm. which means transformation, death and rebirth at all levels. So metamorphosis and transformation. Pluto was discovered in 1930. And the interesting thing that happened in 1930 to signify that signature of death and rebirth was the creation of the atomic bomb at the same time. Ugh. The first time man could destroy himself completely through an invention.
That's the example you have.
It's an amazing example.
Harsh.
It's an amazing example.
Yeah, no, it is. It's
because,
important.
There's transformation.
There's a lot going on
how
right
we look
now.
at our humanity from that possibility,
right.
if you will.
Yes.
And so Pluto has been in Capricorn for the last 16 years. That's been the run of Pluto in Capricorn. And it came into Capricorn in 2008. So Capricorn represents structures, government, systems, restrictions, limitations. It's the dad in the room with the rules.
Not a few of my favorite things, I
must
say.
And so in 2008, something very interesting happened, which is what we had a complete market crash. When Pluto leaves a sign that it's been in into a new sign, it's a major catalyst at the very end. The very end is its biggest kaboom.
Okay.
And so, which we'll talk about the one we're coming up on. But
we're
the
hoping
one we
it's
did,
not a real kaboom, but more like a ta-da.
Right. So when Pluto left Sagittarius represents large and growth and opportunity and overdoing things or having enthusiasm around something. Mm-hmm. Well, everybody could buy houses without a mortgage at that time.
Yes.
And so everybody was running around with these loans that weren't real.
Right.
They were an illusion of money or what somebody had.
Because they were going to have a balloon payment that would wipe them out. Right.
And the banks crashed. In 2008 happens and we move into Capricorn.
Mm-hmm.
Pluto moves into Capricorn. It was also the beginning of a black president for the very first time. So that was new, very new.
Don't get me started.
Yeah.
Continue.
So that has been going on for 16 years. And through the course of that, we have gone through all these systematic breakdowns and structures and what have you. And so, we go through sort of the middle part of Pluto and Capricorn. And that is where we had another election. Mm-hmm. And this time, what was running for president was something very different and new. And that was a woman against a businessman that never had any political experience.
Right.
So that changed a lot of things.
Yeah,
that changed our structures.
Yeah.
Everything's structural change in our government and everything else.
A lot of unseen things happen. Mm-hmm. Things that we just it was so brand new to us, but it's been scary and exciting all at the same time, although the last few years have been a little tense, I think, for everyone.
That's because we're coming to the last bang, you see.
Okay.
And that is because Pluto will now move into Aquarius, as it did briefly this year, and then move back into Capricorn.
We got a little taste of it. I liked it.
We got a little taste of it. And so, we're going to talk about Aquarius and the planet Uranus. Uranus rules Aquarius. Mm-hmm. Now I'll give you some history on Uranus. Uranus is the sign that rules Aquarius. It's about changing systems and rules. So changing governments, rebelling against something that's been around forever.
Yes.
Okay. Uranus was discovered in 1781. We created a constitution.
Right.
And the French Revolution all happened around that time.
Right.
And that was a massive shift and change.
Little off with her head sort of situation.
But it was a revolution.
It was a revolution.
Uranus in Aquarius is a revolution.
Well, and you can see it starting to swell right now.
Exactly.
Yes.
So the interesting thing, I read this, I don't want to take credit for it because I found it a great analogy and I wanted to share it because we're at 29 degrees Capricorn and that's when it ends. Then we go to 0 degrees Aquarius.
Right.
And so what happens is Aquarius is like a bat, okay?
Okay.
When it comes to the end, Aquarius is the beginning of something that's going to be new. Aquarius is the bat, Capricorn's the piñata.
Okay.
So what we're going through right now is the bat's about to hit the piñata, and we're all waiting to see what falls out.
Yes.
And that's the unknown. Wow. We're going into that. We're going into like, boom, it's big.
Right.
So that's just an overall and understanding that. And Capricorn is the mountain goat, okay? It's climbing. It's always wanting to achieve more and get bigger and stronger and sort of it's based on direction. Capricorn is a direction energy.
On my Capricorn astrology video that I put up on my social media, I always say Capricorn's a little bit of a greedy bitch.
Yeah. Well, they're never satisfied because there's more, you see. It's got more of I could do better, I could be smarter, I could make more money. They want to own businesses because they want to grow them.
Right.
So it's a direction sort of energy. Uranus is a connection energy because Uranus is wanting to fit into a system but not feeling as though you do. And so therefore you want to find your own tribe or you want to be your own rebel.
So Aquarius can never fit in as an energy. It never fits in unless it's with like energy, like other Aquarians.
Yes, it likes to be within its own group. That's very similar to Pisces. Pisces likes to swim with its own fish. Aquarians, like if you're a rebel, all your friends will be rebels.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, okay.
But Aquarians are also very okay being by themselves. So are you saying that in this Pluto and Aquarius, that it's going to want to break the systems that we've known down and then create its own vision?
It's already been happening.
Right.
So there we see all these governmental systems around the world going through this.
Right.
So we have these autocracies versus democracies breaking up all over.
Right.
Okay. Now, this creates something that's created a crisis for everybody around the world, which Uranus, what it's doing it already and is heading us toward is what we're doing with mass immigration around the world. Because all the poorer southern parts of the world are migrating to the northern parts of the world. So the poorer places are going where the richer places are.
Well, sure, they want something for nothing.
They're under regimes of control or oppression.
This is like a whole political debate you could get into, but I'm just saying they're not under regimes. They just can't make as much money in Mexico is they can make here, so they come here for that
But
reason.
it's not just Mexico. It is
Well, because we
Cuba,
live in a border
Haiti,
state, though, that's what we see here.
But then you see Russia with
Cuba's
Ukraine.
been coming here for a long time.
Okay,
that's Florida.
Yeah. Well, yeah, no, but I'm saying not just here. I'm saying Russia into Ukraine.
Right.
Now Israel and the Hamas and the Palestinians.
Yes.
This is happening now.
Around the world.
Yeah. Isn't it just us? We're all a part of it, essentially.
Yes.
So that's part of.
So everybody's fighting for their borders and boundaries.
Yes. You're going to see that fight in a lot of places.
Mm-hmm.
And so how we deal with humanity, which is Aquarian, versus where we try to protect ourselves from culture change, culture change.
I think it's going to be
invasion.
interesting because we throw the word humanity around a lot. And I would have to say it's not humanitarian. I grew up here in Arizona, born and raised. It's not humanitarian to let people come across a border that bring fentanyl that kill our children either. So what is being humanitarian look like anymore? We're going to have to get a little bit more definition on that and decide what that looks like for all of us.
Yeah, and when I speak of human, I speak of a human connection. And so when there's many different languages, races, cultures, all these things that are moving into others, it creates that conflict.
Sure.
So that's how I'm approaching it and what I'm looking at.
Sure.
So when we look at what Aquarius represents and the things that's already purveyed to us and that we're going further into is technology is basically dehumanizing us.
Yeah.
And that's a
I agree
big
with
part
that.
of something we have to address
Right.
as we move into this new year, because we have cell phones we look into all the time and we don't socially interact. There's social media platforms that have never been there before.
Right.
We have negative news, outlets all over the place. And there's always bad, so and the news wants to give you negative because it makes more money in traumatizing you.
Right. That's so true.
And trauma and catastrophic sort of messages are what we're being bombarded with.
Yes.
So this creates fear.
It's depression. It's fear.
Yes.
It's terrible.
Okay. And so we're like being controlled by algorithms and we don't even know it.
Right.
So this is where we have to detach. This is our only hope in terms of being able to get out of that sort of vacuum of darkness and negativity, is to detach from the things that have brought us to it.
Right.
Because technology can be very beneficial, because Uranus will also take us into new areas of progress in terms of science, medicine, technology, in terms of energy productions and economic systems that will be probably changed as they already are, maybe digital, whatever it looks like.
Right.
But that's essentially part of the birth of a new age into an Aquarian sort of dynamic.
It's going to be interesting.
Yeah, well, and things will happen faster because Aquarius change happens faster and faster in that consciousness. So
It sounds so exciting.
well, it is. I mean, it's just, when we look at Uranus will be in, Pluto will be in Uranus for 20 years. So it's even longer than Capricorn.
Right.
So we're in the birth of it now, the very birth. Okay. So there is so many more unknowns in the birth than there are in the ends of something, because we've been through a lot of things that showed us what the end looks like and the beginnings may look like we did in 2008. So now it's like what's coming out of the piñata? That's the big thing.
It's going to be really interesting because 9/11, a lot of us, adults at that time, but we have a whole generation that doesn't remember the conflict or what that felt like, or to know somebody that goes off to war. And now I think they're going to see that. They're going to have more of that, and they're not, we can't just be fat cats sitting around all the time enjoying the good times, and we have to become part of the change. And so it's going to be I think it's going to actually make people look deeper within themselves.
That's what I'm trying to get people to do by detaching.
Right.
And you brought up war.
Yes.
So the symbols in astrology that represent our past and our future of where we're going right now are in the war signs of Libra and Aries.
Wow.
And that's already we're at war with each other.
Right.
Politically, we're at war with ideologies.
Yes.
And we're at war with, around the world in different countries.
Yes.
And which once again comes with immigration and change and cultures and the things that are happening. So, that's something we also have to address. We have to look at, are we really wanting the same things and being told that we're not going to get them from somebody that tells us you're not going to do it if you're this way or that way. And it's like,
Right.
but we want the same things. We don't want it to be complicated and bad and evil. We want it to be
I think if you
fair.
take ideology out of the mix, you're
You're much better.
and you're dealing with people that are rational,
Yes.
that are empathetic on even just a small level. We do want the same things
Yes.
majoritarily.
As far as survival
Yes,
goes.
right.
But the ideologies get in the way.
And the scariest thing is if you get somebody that's an ideological sort of nut job
Mm-hmm.
that really wants to die. Like
Yeah.
they'll take you with them. That'd be the scarier thing. And I'm speaking more of out of this country and in outside of us, because that doesn't tend to be part of what makes us tick here
Yes.
in the US. But I do see it in other countries, and that was a concern of mine for Putin, that he would be one of those.
Yeah.
Or, I was kind of thinking that the Korean leader, Kim Jong-un,
Yeah.
but then I saw him with his daughter, and he melted over her, just fully in love with his little girl. And I'm like, I don't think he'd do that to her.
So we just need to give him a puppy or a
Interesting.
kitty and he'll be fine.
Yes. Love this, damn it, because it'll make you human.
Oh my gosh, that's so funny. To give you some dates, Pluto goes into Aquarius on the 20th. Okay. So for most of the year, we'll get to where it
Under
changes.
the 20th of December?
No, January.
January
Yeah,
20th.
yeah,
when
January
when the
20th.
sun goes into Aquarius.
And it's on the exact same day that
Wow.
the sun goes into Aquarius. So the sun will conjoin into Pluto and Aquarius all at once. That's kind of a
Rebellion.
big boom right
Yeah.
there. And when I talked about Libra and Aries in terms of war, it also represents justice and law.
Right.
So we're having all these court
Legal
cases, all
battles,
these legal
yes.
battles all over the place. So if you're in a legal battle yourself, this is a time to try and resolve it, if you will, because the battle just continues until somebody does.
Well, and can I just suggest to people out there that are a little hyperbolic, a little high strung or hormonal for us women, go to your doctor or naturopath and get some ADR, some Zen pills or something to help you get through this, because that kind of energy can just make you want to cut everybody out of your life. It's breakup energy.
Yeah.
So that's going to be very interesting
Yeah.
to see that happen.
Well, once again, if you're going to go into yourself and look at what your needs are and what you want, your survival instincts, what secures you, and it's different from someone you're with
Right.
or the business you're with, why are you there?
Right.
I mean, what are you wanting to be stuck in?
Right.
Because Aquarian wants to free things from things you're stuck in.
Right.
You see, and that you're not connected. If you're disconnected, that's where Aquarius feels naturally. Always feels disconnected. It wants to belong, and then somehow be like, nah, I just want to be by myself, kind of thing.
And I always call it a breakup aspect.
Yeah.
In relationships. I think I've been seeing a lot of divorces come out of nowhere,
Yeah.
seemingly in this last year, that people who have been together a long time.
Well, Pluto and Aquarius both do that to you.
Right. Okay.
Because Pluto is transformation,
and that's going to be even
and
more
Aquarius
so.
is more. Yeah,
Yes.
exactly. So that's important to understand. But then, and January 20th, as it moves into that new sign, it will reverse course in retrograde September 2nd through November 19th back into Capricorn. Gee, I wonder what's going on then.
Right.
Only a major election.
Kind of a big one.
Yeah, kind of a big one. It would go right back into Capricorn
Oh.
during an election.
Oh, geez. That means government tries to regain control and
Yeah.
remain in their old standard.
We'll see. We'll see. I mean, that's been a resistance anyway. So we'll see how,
Right.
is our voting system needing to be redone in
Oh,
a
yeah.
different way of
I'm sure.
doing it and
Yeah.
stuff like that.
Yeah.
So that's something to look. Then on, November 20th, it goes back into Aquarius and stays there. So that's
Okay, but what does
for
like
20 years.
November, the week of the election, look like? I'm not asking for a prediction, but is it just always going to be tumultuous energy, or when there's a lame president, is there like no energy in an astrological chart because it's like a slam dunk?
In the case that I'm looking at this, I think no one could predict at this point. It's way too early to get that energy.
Yeah.
I said last time, I think I was asked this question from you, and I said, I see someone younger, maybe both,
Right.
like they're both not what we think it's going to be. That would be radical.
I don't know that I see that. I just don't see Biden being the one that I'm not sure he survives. Like he's on fumes right now.
It seems completely unpredictable in a lot of different ways.
Absolutely.
So that's why it still has that volatility.
Right.
And unknowns create fear.
And I think there's a lot of the younger people that are getting into the race who will reemerge in 4 years and make another run, you know, so they're not going anywhere.
Right. No. Yeah. So I'll break down the outer planets in terms of what their sort of energy is that will be a part of this year. I'm going to put Neptune and Saturn together. So Neptune is illusion, delusion, spirituality, mysticism, connection at a higher vibration than just human. It is sort of like our spirit energy.
Psychic energy.
It is, but it's also the dark stuff.
Right.
You know, so it can go either way. So you can be lost, you know, have no borders and boundaries and lost in something and feel you can't get out of it.
Right.
Yeah. And then Saturn itself, the planet of structure, is also in Pisces. This warning is definitely about fear, illusion, and depression.
And when is that?
That's all year.
Oh, good.
Oh, yeah. Oh, boy.
Isn't that ideology? That's ideologies?
Not necessarily. It's how you're responding to them. You know, how you're responding yourself.
You're not using your head. You're basing it on emotion.
Yes,
like you're reacting emotionally.
Yes, your emotions and your psychosis, if I will.
So people need to stay objective.
This is why I say stay out of negative energy and negative messages, because if you have a tendency to want to retreat, to don't feel powerful in your life or in charge of your life, it makes it worse. And because when you're weak, you go into that place easily. This is when out comes the bottle and the pills.
Right. Lock the liquor cabinet.
Lock the liquor cabinet. But it can be very much the opposite, because if you go out of the dark energy into the lighter, then you form a detachment yourself to your own rituals, to where you turn off the noise and then you create your own rituals, because it's a very ritualistic with Saturn in Capricorn, that you create your own form or rituals to manage your own energy in your response to something. So rather than scream and yell at, you know, Uncle Bob at the Thanksgiving table or whatever that looks like, you just sit there and detach and go, I'm not engaging because I don't want to be sucked into someone else's, because it's easy to do that with this energy.
Right.
So maybe you form meditation practices. Maybe you have quiet times in the morning. Maybe you decompose. If you're in an argument with your other half, you know, it's like, you know, you need to get away from it.
Decompress and just let it go. Yeah.
So it can take you one or the other, but it's up to you as an individual out there, you guys, over this next year to find a practice to manage all that is going to be going on.
Something constructive that's an outlet for you.
Do something kind, you see, rather than yell at somebody about something, reverse it.
Right.
You want to do something charitable. You want to, you know, whatever it is. Do something that lifts your spirit, in other words, because there's a lot of energy that wants to pull it down.
Well, and, you know, the way I read energy such as that I would worry about is that, yes, people are getting depressed. And why wouldn't they be? You're right. All the news is bad. Everything's terrible. Doom and gloom. Horrible. But nobody wants to watch the happy stuff. It doesn't get the ratings. Reality television, would you watch it if it was a gardening party with some happy, really good friends? Probably not. Well,
I'm going to say something here just to pull you into it, because we're going to talk about the housewives for a moment, because everything is always at a fight at the end and throwing liquor on somebody and running out of the room and hating somebody every time. And it's so, it's like this thematic.
It's predictable.
It's all predictable, but everyone keeps watching them over and over and over.
That's what I'm saying.
Yeah, I know.
So throughout this year, people need to actually watch who they're around when they're drinking.
Yeah.
I would say that.
Sure. Because
you're going to be more hyperbolic around people that push your buttons. It's better to say nothing. I just myself had a situation like that last week, showed up to a birthday party, lots of champagne, having a great time. And a lot of my friends look kind of similar. It's like the Scottsdale blondes, you know, the lips have some work done and the sunglasses. So I'm there with Sophia and I sort of slide her in on the booth side and I hear somebody talking to Sophia and it clicked in my head who it was. And it's somebody that I was not in a good place with. And so what I did, even though I was having cocktails, I focused on everybody else and did not feed any energy into it. And neither did she. So it worked out kind of great because we don't want that connection. We have determined that.
Right.
And we were able to be around each other without engaging.
One
So
of- well,
it
plus-
was healthy.
But one of the healthy things for you in that, being an Aquarian,
Right.
you know how to remove yourself from something fairly easily.
Yeah, I do.
You're very in control of your emotions and responses to them.
Yes.
You're very rare, but that's
Thank you.
because that's not a lot of, a lot of people can't do that.
Yeah.
Pisces have a really hard time doing that. So,
Being an Aquarius, so and if people are absorbing Aquarian energy, this might help them because you don't care.
right.
Like you just put a wall up and you're like, stay out of my space. And you just,
Well,
you're fine.
my mantra in life anyway is graduate from those that you give power to and be yourself,
Yes.
So I graduated from school, but I don't care what other people think a long
Right.
time ago.
I recommend.
Highly recommend because the minute you've engaged somebody and they've engaged you and you've got sucked into it, they own you.
You gave your power away.
You gave your power away.
That's right.
Then I will say with the Saturn and Neptune conjunction in a Pisces energy, the arts are very strong at this time. So we'll see interesting movies. They'll probably be dark and light, kind of one extreme to the other.
If they could stay away from movies that reflect what could actually happen in real world conflict,
Yeah, I
that'd
know.
be great.
Yeah,
we need some comedies
get
now.
some Disney in. Okay, all right.
Not Disney, but comedy, something great.
But if you have artistic leanings and you want to address it, this is a good energy to do it
Okay.
in.
Write a book.
And to take a chance, risk it because
Painting.
Aquarian's risky.
Yeah.
They'll jump into something, that they're enticed by to see where it'll take them. So yeah.
That's so funny because Sophia just said she and her roommate are going to take ice skating lessons
There you
together.
go. There you
It's
go.
perfect.
Yeah. Jupiter. We'll go down to Jupiter now because it's the last outer planet we'll talk about. And Jupiter.
I like Jupiter. Jupiter's good, right?
Jupiter
luck.
conjoins the planet Uranus in Taurus on April 20th,
Okay.
which is interesting because
On April 20th. I want to remember that.
yes. So Jupiter rules Sagittarius, and so this is like what I said earlier. It's about Sagittarians. It's expansion. It's opportunity. It's growth.
Housing market?
And it's in Taurus, which is the money sign.
Right.
So there will be some opportunities for investments. Money, we may be better off. Maybe mortgage rates come down. Things look a little bit better.
Well, they always pull that trick in the fourth, like that last year before an election, everything they destroyed, they all of a sudden make it okay. So
Well,
we forget.
Well,
Yeah.
that's if they do take advantage of it, is my point.
Definitely take advantage of that. So Jupiter conjunct Uranus
in Taurus
in
on the
Taurus.
20th. That's kind of like a trigger, if you will.
Well, half the country will be stoned, so the rest of us will get to our investments and we'll be first.
Yeah.
It'll be good.
Well, you've seen a lot of volatility in economics
Yeah.
because Uranus is in Taurus.
Yeah.
So it's been unpredictable. First we have there's no money, and then now money's come again, and it's kind of like that. It's hard to predict.
So Jupiter things kind of come out of left field. You just don't expect
Well,
it.
it's like if there's opportunity that presents itself, you might want to take a good look at it.
Okay.
Don't let the doom and gloom scare you, in other words.
Okay. All right. Focus.
But then on May 25th through June of 25, Jupiter will change signs for a year and it goes into Gemini. Okay, so we get into May, the end of May, we're going to see a massive amounts of legal things all summer
Yeah.
because everything's going to trigger in the summer with this. And Gemini, Jupiter and Gemini, we're putting the fire sign with an air sign in the communication sign.
Never a good thing.
Legal issues, expansion of communication, information, ideas, all over the place.
Okay.
You're going to be bombarded with information. And so once again, you might want to not overwhelm yourself.
Okay.
But if you've got great ideas, like you just said to somebody, like, why don't you write a book?
Right.
Great time.
Great.
Great
Yeah.
time to do that. And so, if you got an idea of a new business, you've got an idea of, something you might want to try, it's a great time to take risks. And I know in a volatile situation, do we want to take risks? You
Right.
have to read yourself in the risk, what you're willing to risk, essentially.
Okay.
Say,
So it's business and money.
because change and risk is kind of like the energy we're going into anyway. So,
I'll take a risk. I'm an Aquarian.
this won't be easy for Cancers and Capricorns, but or even Virgos. The the
they
earth
need
signs.
security, right?
Yeah, but for those who are fire and air signs, it's a good energy. But I will tell you that from the first of the year until from January, basically end of January to April 1st, everything is direct. Nothing's retrograde.
Yay.
And then Mercury goes retrograde. But then, like it is right now.
So end of January to April 1st.
Yeah. Mercury retrograde won't happen until right after April 1st. It's like April 2nd, it goes retrograde. But all the planets are direct. So a lot's going to happen from now till April.
Everything goes forward then.
Yes.
If everything's direct.
Everything's going to be moving forward.
Okay, so
especially on the 2nd.
Okay.
Where did I have here? When Pluto goes into, the 20th, when Pluto goes into Aquarius, it really ramps up.
So the beginning of February?
No, the beginning of Aquarius.
Oh, the beginning of Aquarius.
The sign of when the sun goes into Aquarius, the 20th of January.
Okay.
Yeah. So that's when things really start kicking in at that time. So just relax, everybody, right now. Enjoy the holidays.
Right. Right. Yes. So everything's going to go forward. And I think if you look at it on sort of around the world, the conflicts going on, everything's going to go forward.
Yes, it is.
In Russia and between Russia and Ukraine and Hamas and Israel. So, but also the other countries that seem on the periphery, I do think they're going to have to go forward too. So it's going to be interesting.
Well, I'm going to give a positive on this one because we are in war energy too.
Yeah.
Negotiation is a part of war. And, the United States is trying to negotiate with Ukraine and Russia and now with the Palestinians and Israel. And so, we keep trying to can we just not blow each other up, and can we negotiate? Nice. So that's the Libra side that says, how do we not, react, in other words? And then go, I'm going to go after you, you're going to go after me, and then we're going to have this. It's hard,
though. You don't have two rational sides. You're going to have one rational person that might get their butt kicked trying to be rational dealing with the other person. I mean, this is going to get sticky.
Yeah, but there's a potential for negotiation.
Okay. Give us more money. Got it. Negotiation. Okay. So, So that's good. So there's hopefully that works itself out. You were talking about Pisces being that energy for the year as well, that it's going to bring up sort of psychic and spiritual energy for us and make people very sort of emotional. So I think that's actually probably a good thing in this time because Aquarius
need it.
It's detached,
yes.
Aquarius. So you sort of want people to have that humanity to them, that empathy for people and what they're going through without being a crazy person yourself and making things worse.
Well, if you're going to be at one with something, be at one with Jesus.
Right. Well, hallelujah. Okay.
Whatever spiritual connection you're drawn to, draw to it.
Right now I was going to say whatever is good to you and grounds you is something people are going to need in this next year. So even if you don't agree with all of the text of some of the religions, if being at church reminds you of being a little kid and it makes you feel safe, go hang out at church for a while. But people need something, community to cling to other than protest groups. They need something that builds you up.
What you need is faith in something beyond you.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Right.
It is like you need faith in yourself and know that you are alone, but you aren't alone.
Right.
Because I've always felt that way. I mean, I, have had a early childhood where I was kind of left alone. So, but I never felt alone spiritually.
Right.
Because I always had that connection to I'm here for a purpose or a reason beyond my ego, and search for it through my whole life. And then when I found out who I was and what I was capable of giving, my faith was proven to me because I'm not about getting or not getting. I'm here about giving. So what am I able to give you or anybody else out there in the work that I do or the relationships I have, because I'm going to do it the way I would do it, not the way you'd say I need it this way.
Well, you are a free thinker for sure.
Yeah, now.
Well, that's a good thing. Sometimes it takes us a while to get there.
Right.
So
running out of time anyway. Yeah.
Oh, stop. You're not going anywhere. What would we all do?
I don't know.
We need our Tom. I'd have to bring you through.
Okay. You will. I know you will.
The podcast anyways.
Yeah.
I'll just take a lot of notes. So
That's funny.
so that's what we're looking
Yeah,
at.
it's a lot. Like it's giving me a whole year to do. It's like, okay,
Right.
I'm
No,
trying
I
to
know. We'll
make
do
sense of it.
increments as we go
Of course.
forward through the year.
Yeah.
So, I mean, all of the Aquarius coming in, I have hope. I every sign's got positives and negatives, and I just
Absolutely.
wanted to say that because I know some signs feel singled out sometimes, and it's true that some signs are more popular than other signs. It's just
Yeah.
the way it is.
Yeah, it is.
But they have two sides to them. For instance, Aquarius can be a humanitarian in that you'll buy a homeless person a cheeseburger, or if you see a puppy in the road that broke its leg, you're going to scoop it up and take it to
Right.
the vet. The dark side can be, I'm going to go march in that protest. I need to be, it's humanitarian, but a little demented, some would say, or a little skewed, but it's humanitarian, but they may not know what they're protesting at all. So the sides of Aquarius, like all signs, can be good, and then it can be something else if you're tearing other people down and trying to make them hurt.
Well, if you're trying to belong to a tribe that does that, then why are you in
Right.
it? You know,
Right.
if that's not your nature, then if it's we're going back to ideology.
Yeah.
You know.
Yeah.
And that's the
People haven't been thinking for themselves
No.
for a very long time,
Exactly what
and
I'm
we
saying.
really have to get back to that.
exactly what I'm saying.
I couldn't agree with that more. It's really hard, though, when you watch 3-year-olds in restaurants being babysat by their tablets
Yes.
that they're all plugged into. And thanks for those of you that use the earbuds with them. We all appreciate that in the restaurants, but I worry about their brain matter not forming correctly, and we might want to look at that. So I think Sophia, our youngest, was kind of the tail end of generations who grew up without being programmed by technology.
Right.
You know, she knows how to use it. She's very good at it, but she's not a slave to it.
No, she's not a slave to it.
Yeah.
No, but she's social too. She likes social interaction.
Yeah.
So yeah.
Well, she's got a moon in Pisces. What are you going to do?
Exactly. Yeah.
She is very social. That is true. So, okay, that gives us a lot to think about. We'll do this again in another month or 6 weeks.
Well, we'll narrow it down
have
to what's
more
going
to talk
on.
about. Yeah, because then people listening can apply what you've said to what then transpires.
Right.
And it makes it clearer. It paints a visual for you.
Right.
This is the first New Year's Eve that I actually feel like going out.
Oh.
And I haven't wanted to do that in 10 years. And so there's
Boy, that's new for you.
I know.
Well, see, it's starting already.
So there's some shift definitely happening. And I don't know about everybody out there because I know we all had different circumstances, but 2008 until now, freaking exhausting.
Well,
like way too much content.
when
Too much.
When Pluto got to the late degrees of Capricorn,
Yeah.
we had COVID and lockdowns. You were like we were put in prison, so you can't
and
get more
Capricorn rules
restrictive.
government, and the government
Yes.
restricted us.
Right, yeah,
Of course.
So, but for that's what I said. We get to the last degrees. It's like extremely intense.
Yeah.
And so here comes the piñata and see what falls out.
Oh, I hope Aquarius takes a good whack at it.
A lot of candy. Oh, a lot of candy.
Well, Tom, thank you for doing the chart crunching for us and
welcome.
and laying out some of what we can expect in 2024. Go to tommcmullen.com to book your reading for the new year. Or if you haven't gotten a present yet for someone special, they might love a reading with Tom. So check him out. And thank you to my listeners. Next week is all about enjoying our families and making memories for Christmas. But tune in on January 2nd for a fresh episode of The Dead Life. Merry Christmas, everyone. Happy New Year. Remember that your loved ones will be with you in spirit, so save them a chair at Christmas dinner. And keep in mind that they love to hear the most colorful stories about themselves. Eat, drink, and be merry. I'm Allison Dubois. This is The Dead Life. And to all of my believers out there, don't stop believing.